How are you doing, Stuart?
All right. So how have you been adapting to the new conditions?
It's different, but very productive.
So you've got a lot going on, even remotely. I guess you've been going into the lab occasionally?
Yeah, I'm one of the essential personnel, so I've been going in to keep the cryostat running, keep all the remote computer access going. So yeah, just whatever we need to do to make sure everybody can continue to work from home. It's only been about once a week though, so not too bad.
So yeah, I know that we've talked briefly about the pixel tester box and the current testing that's going on. Maybe you can update us a little bit about that. And I have some photos. I'll share my screen so you can refer to them. Can you see that?
Yeah, so that is the focal plane base, which is basically the scaffolding with which we build the focal plane on. So each of those hexagonal cutouts is where an individual array of CMB detectors would live. And what we have inside the Sat1 cryostat right now is what we call a single pixel box, which is a small test box that allows you to just test one individual pixel. Well, actually in that box, there's 3 individual pixels. So each pixel in our focal plane has 2 different polarizations and 2 different wavelength bands. So for each pixel, there's 4 optically coupled bolometers. And then also we add for these single pixels, we add 2 non-coupled, non-connected bolometers as sort of a calibration test channel. So there's
so there you are installing it, right? That's the small.
Yeah. So right in the middle there is the single pixel box. Yeah, that's it right there. Thermometer next to it.
So it's got 2 coax connectors on there.
So the coaxial connectors are how you interrogate the multiplexer chip. So the multiplexer chip is a set of resonators. The resonators move in frequency proportional to the detector signal. And the little connector, little black connector coming out the right side in that picture is where we would connect the bias for the detectors and the flux ramp line for which is required for the readout system. Unfortunately, when we were installing this,
by the way, so now you can kind of see the context of how that's mounted on the focal plane base.
Yeah, you can see a lot clearer the base there. So we basically have, because typically when we actually have the telescope, the hexes would be completely filled with pixels, but right now we don't have the full focal plane modules, and so we're using these little aluminum plates that you can see to blank off from the radiation coming through the optics tube, and the only actual active pixel is in that box in the center. But in this cool down, somehow in the install, both the bias line and the flux ramp became open. So we don't have any ability to apply the flux ramp to the readout or bias the detectors. So we're actually very limited in the types of measurements we can make in this cool down, which is unfortunate. But we were kind of the main focus of this cool down was the install and testing of the half wave plate, and we learned a lot about that. So there was a push to just go ahead and cool the thing down, and we haven't had an ability to go in and change it out because of the rules for social distancing for COVID-19. We're trying to figure out if there's a way for us to go in and investigate what caused these opens during the shutdown, if there's a safe way to do that with, abiding by social distancing guidelines, but that's still under review. So right now, what we can actually test is, we hooked up the coaxial cables to those 2 coaxial connectors. We got a SMRF, which is the warm readout electronics for SO, connected to the system. And we're able to measure the locations of all the resonators. And we can stream the jitter in the frequency. We can't actually stream the normal time stream because that requires the flux ramp. And the problem of not having the flux ramp is that the sensitivity, we have unknown sensitivity for the readout. So there's basically like an unknown gain term in the readout because we don't have the ability to control the flux ramp at all, which kind of sets the readout initial gain. So I'm doing a small tutorial later today with some folks from Berkeley and UCSD on like what we can do with the system now. And we're going to take some data over the next day or two, and then we'll see what we can get out of that. One of the goals was to see if we could turn on the half-wave plate gripper motors and see if like those things inject any noise into the system, and try and turn on the mechanism that's the magnetic rotator that spins the half-wave plate to see if we could see any of that mechanism picked up in the detectors.
How are you monitoring this from remotely? What's the
so we have SSH access to pretty much all the computers in the lab, and then we have a VNC setup which allows us to like actually view the screen. So with SSH, you can just control the computer remotely, and then you could forward individual windows. Like if you wanted to look at a picture or something, like a graphic that you generated or a plot, you could forward those through. With the VNC, you get like the full desktop. So today for the tutorial, I'll probably be like on Zoom, remoted in so they could see the whole desktop, and just I'll be like interacting like directly like I'm on the desktop of the computer from my laptop. And then people would just watch, ask questions and stuff like that. So.
Well, thanks so much for hopping out with me and giving us a little update. We will catch up with you again maybe next week and get the next update on what's happening. When are you scheduled to do the next run?
So I think that we're planning to warm up by the end of next week, and we think that there's a safe way to open the front. So that the half-wave plate assembly also had a failure. That was one of the reasons we did this cool down, was to see like mechanical interfacing with the half-wave plate and see if we needed to fix anything with the mechanics. And they found that one of the arms for the gripper that cools the half-wave plate, something went wrong with it. So to access that, we have to pull off the front of the optics tube, and that's a much smaller vacuum plate. So I think that we have like a safer plan to be able to remove that with only two. The rules right now is only 2 people, and everybody in the lab has to stay 6 feet apart. The back of the SAT is this huge, massive plate, and it seems pretty dangerous to do that with only 2 people, like 6 feet apart. But the front that has the half-wave plate part is a much smaller plate and is manageable to do with 2 people 6 feet apart. So the plan is at least to just take off the front plate, like sometime just past a week from now, once we warm up, investigate the internals of the half-wave plate, see if we can fix any of that, and then cool back down. And Nick is trying to plan out to see if there's a way we can do the back too in a safe way. But we're sort of looking at the safety of that, evaluating it with the university to see if it's safe and to see if it fits the social distancing guidelines and things like that. But that's sort of TBD at the moment.
Thanks much, Max, for the update, and we'll get back again next week and see how all this went. Appreciate it.
Okay, great. Nice to talk to you, Stuart.
Everybody,
bye.
Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, and we'll start to post regular updates this way.